War is expensive, and nothing says neutral country like secretly bankrolling the bloodiest conflict in human history. It's 1914. Europe is basically one giant aristocratic family reunion gone wrong. The British have colonies, the French have grudges, the Germans have helmets shaped like tiny traffic cones, and everyone has way too many treaties. Then, an archduke gets assassinated in Sarajevo, and suddenly the whole continent hits reply all with declarations of war. While Europe collapses into chaos, across the Atlantic a very different kind of army is mobilizing. The one that wears tailored suits, smokes cigars the size of sausages, and worships at the altar of compound interest. Wall Street doesn't see a tragedy, it sees a spreadsheet opportunity. Because if there's one constant in human history, it's that whenever someone starts a war, someone else starts counting profits. JP Morgan & Co. sits right at the top of this pyramid of polite greed. Morgan himself is already the most powerful banker in America, a man who looks like he was carved from expensive mahogany and pure condescension. When Europe goes up in flames, the United States claims neutrality, which is adorable, like watching a cat pretend it's not eyeing the fishbowl. The Allies, mostly Britain and France, are burning through cash faster than gunpowder. They need supplies, food, steel, bullets, horses, uniforms, and a few miracles. Morgan realizes something obvious. Wars run on money, and money lives in New York. So while America waves its little neutrality flag, JP Morgan quietly becomes the exclusive purchasing agent for the Allied governments. His firm starts buying everything from American factories and shipping it across the Atlantic. Rifles, artillery shells, locomotives. If it can kill, transport, or clothe, it's on Morgan's list. To pay for it all, he sells war bonds to American investors. Ordinary citizens think they're supporting peace, but what they're really doing is underwriting carnage on a global scale. Neutrality, it turns out, is a great business model when everyone else is dying. By 1915, Morgan's office has turned into a kind of warlord logistics hub, except the blood is metaphorical and the profits are not. Generals send over shopping lists of bullets, and Morgan sends back invoices padded thicker than a battleship hull.
But there's a catch. If the Allies lose, they can't pay their debts, so the bankers quietly shift from neutral observers to motivated investors in Allied victory. Neutrality only works when your money isn't on the line, and Morgan's money is everywhere. Meanwhile, across the ocean, something inconvenient happens. A German U-boat sinks the British passenger ship Lusitania. Officially, it's a shocking act of barbarism. Unofficially, the ship was carrying munitions funded and shipped by the same bankers pretending to stay out of the war. Germany even took out ads in US newspapers warning people not to board it. But when the ship goes down, so does America's moral high ground. Public outrage explodes, newspapers scream, and suddenly neutrality feels a little negotiable. Behind the outrage, Morgan and friends see opportunity. If the US joins the war, credit lines will open, industries will boom, and the debt cycle will spiral into pure ecstasy. And sure enough, in 1917, when President Woodrow Wilson declares war on Germany, the bankers don't lose sleep, they throw a party. Morgan's firm becomes the official financial agent of the United States for Allied war loans. Every shell that leaves an American factory is backed by his signature. It's capitalism's greatest transformation act, from banker to kingmaker. Before the war, JP Morgan was just another rich guy who could buy your state if he felt like it. After the war, he's basically the financial emperor of the planet. His network now directs the flow of billions. Governments owe him, factories depend on him, even the brand new Federal Reserve, created just a year before the war, makes his work easier. The Fed stabilizes credit, expands the money supply, and makes sure the country never runs out of new ways to fund freedom. Meanwhile, average Americans are bombarded with propaganda from the Committee on Public Information, the government's freshly minted marketing agency. Posters tell citizens to buy Liberty bonds because apparently patriotism now comes with a payment plan. Kids collect scrap metal, women knit socks, and farmers sell their crops to fund democracy. It's a national guilt trip dressed as civic duty. And the banks underwriting those Liberty bonds? The same ones profiting from the loans. The war effort becomes a perfect financial Ouroboros, citizens lending money to the government so the government can pay back the banks who lend to the Allies, who buy American weapons built by the citizens who bought the bonds. It's not circular logic, it's circular debt, and it's beautiful in the most horrifying way possible. The funny part is that all of this still happens under the label of neutral trade. America sells to Britain and France, but not to Germany, because Britain's navy is blocking everything. Germany, feeling starved, starts sinking cargo ships, and suddenly, they're the villains. But behind the outrage, the supply chains hum along, powered by loans, ledgers, and the kind of creative accounting that could raise the dead. By the end of the war, America has mutated. Before 1914, it was a debtor nation, borrowing money from Europe to build railroads and factories. By 1918, it's the world's creditor. The caterpillar borrowed gold, the butterfly lends it back with interest. Wall Street goes from provincial trading hub to the beating heart of global finance. Every bullet, every bond, every broken treaty runs through New York's veins.
And Morgan isn't alone. National City Bank, Kuhn Loeb, Brown Brothers all join the feeding frenzy. When the war ends, they don't pack up. Europe needs rebuilding, and guess who's standing by with checkbooks and contracts? The same people who financed the destruction now finance the reconstruction. Break it, fix it, bill it twice. The eternal business model. The Treaty of Versailles tries to clean up the mess by slapping Germany with impossible reparations. To pay them, Germany borrows money from, surprise, American banks. They use that money to pay Britain and France, who use it to pay back the US government, who uses it to pay off war bonds. It's like watching a snake eat its own tail while charging itself interest. The system works, briefly, until it doesn't. The Roaring '20s explode with wealth, champagne, and speculative mania, all built on the fragile bones of post-war debt. Then comes 1929, the crash. America calls in its loans, Europe collapses, Germany's economy implodes, and out of the ashes rises the next war nobody can afford, but everyone somehow pays for anyway. The First World War didn't end conflict, it industrialized it. What this all reveals about human nature is depressingly consistent. We don't fight wars just with bullets, we fight them with ledgers. JP Morgan didn't invade Belgium, he just made sure someone could afford to. The soldiers were the visible part of the machine, the engineers were the bankers. And the lesson stuck. Every war since has been financed by the same system. Print money, sell bonds, outsource the guilt. After the armistice, Morgan's successors host glittering dinners celebrating peace and prosperity. Champagne flows, guests toast victory. Meanwhile, veterans limp through the streets selling apples. A banker raises his glass and declares war is a tragedy, but business must go on. It's the kind of line that should be carved in marble over the gates of every stock exchange. If irony were currency, 1919 would have balanced the global budget. The real legacy of World War I isn't just new borders or new graves, it's a new financial order. The war turned debt into destiny. The same bonds that paid for the trenches also built the foundations of the modern monetary system. The Federal Reserve matured, the dollar began replacing gold, and Wall Street discovered a secret it's never forgotten. There's no product more profitable than fear. JP Morgan himself didn't live to see it. He died in 1913, just before the fireworks began. But his ghost must have been smiling as his empire financed both destruction and reconstruction with the same pen. Today, his bank's descendant, JP Morgan Chase, is the largest in America. 100 years later, the money still flows, the system still hums, and the past still accrues interest. Wars have winners and losers, but in 1914, the winners never left the boardroom. While millions drowned in trenches, the sound of cash registers echoed across Manhattan. When the guns went silent in 1918, the money didn't stop. It just found new wars to invest in.